Hey, everybody. My name's Anna Tharrington. I'm one of the managing partners at Hutchinson, a law firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. We work with emerging growth companies, you looking to scale and grow their businesses, as well as the investors that invest with them. Today, we're talking with Nick Black, who is CEO of GoodUnited, one of my all-time favorite folks and clients. So excited to have you, Nick, and maybe you could share a couple minutes about you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Tana. I really appreciate the opportunity. Like you said, my name is Nick Black. I'm a co-founder and CEO of GoodUnited. We started business in 2014, and we are the social fundraising solution. And we have the honor and opportunity to serve some of the world's most impactful organizations, whether it be Wounded Warrior Project, American Cancer Society, and really help them shift into the world of social giving.
That's fantastic, Nick. So 2014 is a long time. What I thought we could do today that might be interesting is just share a little bit about what you've learned on your journey and GoodUnited's journey,
Sure.
And maybe give the folks a chance to learn a little bit from what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. The caveat here is, I will defend. I have a PhD in what not to do, so I think that's really important to understand. And so the first 4 years with my business partner Jeremy Berman, really trying to make every mistake in the book. So I'm happy to share all those lessons learned and then how we turned it around and we're able to grow into the business that we are today.
That's awesome, Nick. So let's start early. So 2014, you guys are up and running. Talk to me about forming the company, how that looked, and maybe a couple of the very early things that happened that you'd want to share with the group.
Yeah, well, the first lesson is you're the dumbest person in every conversation you have. So whether you're talking with marketers or salespeople, as a founder, you're walking into a world of expertise that you just don't understand. Thankfully, we found Hutchinson early on, and I think we've been working together the whole time, right? So the whole 7 years since 2014 to today. And so the formation process was relatively painless, thanks to our friends at Hutch. But it wasn't easy in the same regards as well, because everything is foreign. And I think that how we got through that was find some great advisors, some great friends to help us understand what all this meant. Right. And looking back on it, I remember doing it and saying who cares? And let's just move through. And then now we're a real business. And I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember just skimming that over. Maybe I should have, thought about that more. But it was the incorporation process was the easiest part of building the venture. That's for sure.
So what's it like sort of starting out back 2014, 2015, we're working together.
Yeah.
And, like most early companies, not a ton of money, trying to really stretch the dollars. How were you guys thinking about the best way to sort of grow a business and eventually get funded, which we'll talk about? What was that like?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest lessons learned that we had was that, oftentimes in technology, and I think that there's a narrative out there with, venture capital and high growth businesses is that you want to grow at all costs. You want to create these metrics that only you understand. Jeremy and I early on were building a high growth business that would one day a high growth startup that would one day turn into a business. And the biggest lesson learned is that you need to build a business that happens to be high growth. You need to make money. So we came to the gate. We wanted to grow. We wanted to build technology. We wanted to get venture capital. We want to do all the sexy stuff coming out of business school that most people talk about. And what we learned very quickly is let's build a business. Let's focus on the blocking and tackling, the P&L. Let's drive revenue. Let's make money. Let's make a profit so we can invest in ourselves. So it took us 3 years to figure that out. I wish I would have known that at the beginning.
And what about thinking about early team stuff? So you guys have changed a bit. You've grown a lot.
Sure.
Your core's still there. Any sort of lessons learned about early stage teams or sort of how you surrounded yourself with successful advisors to help you along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Find people that disagree with you. And so I was funny. I was in a meeting with an investor and they were talking about how they work with founders, and founders have words that you're not allowed to say, which I think is strange, right? And I started laughing. I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I was like, oh no, I've got a word, idea, right? No, you're not allowed to say idea at GoodUnited. And that was from the beginning. It's saying, oh, I have an idea, Anna. Oh, you have an idea as well? Well, ideas are emotional, right? And ideas don't get you anywhere because you can't prove them, right? It's like, oh, I have an idea. So in the beginning, there's a bunch of ideas. I have an idea. You've got an idea, right? They don't matter. At Good United, what Point Nemo is? You ever heard of Point Nemo?
No.
So it's the point in the ocean is the furthest away from land. And they say, take your idea to Point Nemo and drown it. At Good United, it's a hypothesis, right? How do we quantifiably prove or disprove hypothesis? How do we create method to the madness? So in the beginning, right, working with our team, there's a lot of ideas, and we never gain ground because you never know how to get out of your idea because you just start changing the variables around. And so as we grew, we really started to adopt a process, a methodology. How do we start to take big concepts, break them down to prioritize the individual components with the viability or feasibility, develop hypothesis, and rapidly test those hypotheses, embrace the failure. But you can only do that if you get out of the concept or its idea, right? Then it becomes personality based. The loudest person in the room is going to win. And unfortunately, that's usually me. So I'm usually wrong. So therefore, we need to have, to get out of the idea piece. It's not what Nick thinks or Nick's idea. What do we believe? What can we test? So that was a big lesson learned for us. And that really is where we turned it around.
So thanks for that. So fast forward just a little bit, few years down the road, you guys started obviously getting some traction, thinking about sort of how to scale, how to grow, and outside capital.
Yeah.
So by my math, you raised a round in late 2019. We were with you for that journey and know there were lots of ups and also some challenges sort of in pulling that together that you did an amazing job coordinating and staying with it. Looking back, what we hear from most clients is that raising capital can sometimes change things for a company. So might change how they operate, might change their board,
Sure.
might change sort of who they answer to. Looking back, anything you'd say about sort of that process, and then we'll move forward to perhaps thinking about the future as well.
Sure. We've been super fortunate. We initially raised capital in 2014 or 2015, and we had Task Force X Ventures lead the round, and the managing partner and founder being a gentleman named Brandon Shelton. And Brandon and Task Force X hypothesis was to invest in special operations from the military into technology. And so early on, we had a great foundation and a great advice. And the concept of a task force is to bring multidisciplinary teams, cross-functional teams together and support a task force in support of a venture like Good United. So we did that initial round, and I think we raised $750,000. And we did another round after that. And then to your point, in 2019, after we bottomed out, and then Jeremy and I launched a consulting business, and we refunded Good United. We able to did around, I think, close December 31st, 2019, right before COVID. So that's good. And if I'm honest with myself, I should have put, I always tell our team members, do your paperwork for the legwork. And I think what I learned is that doing a capital raise is a job, right? And as a founder, you do it, you have to do that on top of 1,000 other things. And looking back, I wish I would have taken more time to plot out where we're going rather than just hopping into the work, hopping into doing. I should have created a better timeline saying, hey, over the next 6 months, this is what's going to happen. I need to call Anna. Anna, let's get aligned at the beginning. How do we start doing stuff? Rather than what, meatheads like me do is just hop right in execution, start going 1,000 miles an hour. So capital raise is difficult, but it doesn't need to be as hard as it is. I also learned a lot through the process of, working, understanding investors and understanding what they're looking for. We were also fortunate to find Carolina Angel Network, and they, along with Task Force X and all our other investors, came in, but led our second round. And that was, we're super thankful for the opportunity to keep going and people believing in our mission. But it does change. Expectations change. I was just chatting with one of our board members, and he said, all these bankers that keep calling you. I have like every 19-year-old on earth from like Dartmouth call me from these banks and saying, hey, we want to talk, really interested. Like, oh, okay, great. When you sign up for more capital, you're signing up for more growth. You reset the clock, right? Like, hey, that's great. You did well. Cool. Grow 3 times. You're like, oh, sweet. So you guys don't care anymore, right? Like, oh, no. So it's, I'm happy we did it. I'm really happy with the investors that we have. But I think that, for Jeremy and I, we're very thankful that we're building a business that we can, we're putting cash in a bank, or investing in ourselves. So we're not over indexed, but we've got a great team to support us to hit the next level of growth when we're ready as well.
And can you tell us a little bit about one of the questions we get a lot from early stage companies that are looking for sort of that first round, or the first couple of rounds, first time they're going to price the company.
Right.
They want to know how to meet investors and what type of, what advice we'd give them to start connecting with folks. I know that you had, as you mentioned, sort of a pre-existing connection with Task Force X. Anything you'd share with folks about getting ready for a round as it relates to starting to get to know investors who would later write a check?
Hustle. Well, I lived in Raleigh. I drove up to DC 4 times to meet with the same guy. I'd get across Key Bridge, right? Go the 4.5 hours up. He'd call me every time on Key Bridge. Sorry, I can't meet. It is a grind. It is a hustle. If you've never done cold call sales or walking around your neighborhood trying to sell something, you got to hustle. Yeah, both my parents were intelligence community. You got to build source networks. You got to start figuring out who's connected to who. How do you start shaping the environment? Who's the right person to open up that door? So it is not easy. It is, no one's going to come to you, right? Anyone that's coming to you, right? You got to really be taking a look at, right? It is just a ungodly amount of work. It's like part detective, part CIA operative, part, finance guy. And I used to have Excel matrices and, who I'm targeting, where they are in a funnel, what conversation I had, and understanding, who's doing what. Is this person going to open up a door? What's the end state? It's just not easy. But it's, that's, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And I think out of business school, Jeremy and I were the only people that started a venture. I also had the second lowest GMAT score in business school. So don't let that, maybe that's why.
It seems like things are working out okay, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
So with all that said around the funding and the financing, most companies we work with, again, have to sort of go down that road.
Yeah.
Organic growth isn't super possible. I know you guys have hit some headwinds with that, but would you do it sort of knowing all you know now? Would you do the same thing again? Or if you do it again, would you change something in terms of how you approached it?
I think I'd keep all the same investors. We're really lucky. I've heard horror stories from other entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs talk about, not getting along with their board. We're super lucky there. If I could have talked to myself way back when, I would have told myself, you're nowhere near ready. And one of my points, that, I've kind of learned as I talk to entrepreneurs that reach out and, want to chat. If you don't know who your customer is, then you don't have a business. And many people will build these 118-page business plans. And who's the customer? Well, we're going to find it. Okay, good luck. But I would have focused on getting my customer. If I did this again, a great indicator that you know what you're doing and you're understanding the problem set is getting paid by our customer. So I think what we should have done in the beginning is start to drive more services revenue, getting our customer to pay us, whether it's consulting, whatever it might be, and not hopping right into, tech mode. So I think that would have helped out quite a bit if we would have had some type of services line to help with the revenue while we're building up the technology.
That's great advice. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about past year and a half.
Yeah.
For most companies, everything's changed, right? And the way they work, the teams they work with, how they work, and where they work, it's different now. Love to hear from you, and it might be helpful to also sort of dive a little bit more into what your company does, and then sort of follow on with how that's changed over the past year as we've gone through COVID.
So our mission at GoodUnited, Anna, is to democratize the fundraising experience. Right. So do you have $10 million by any chance? 100 million? Are you a 100 millionaire?
I wish.
No, yeah, me too. So I co-founded a nonprofit called Stop Soldier Suicide, which is actually based in the frontier up in Raleigh in 2010. And what we realized very quickly was that the giving experience is not equal. And so when we started this organization, working every aspect of it, whether it's working with a veteran in crisis or doing administration or fundraising, I quickly learned that if you write a check for $10,000 to Stop Soldier Suicide, I'll probably give you a call and figure out everything about you. I'm going to be your best friend. Right? Because you wrote a check big enough for me to give you that experience. Well, the challenge is that the small philanthropist, someone like me today that might give $20, $50, gives 9 times as much if we stack all of us together than the wealthiest philanthropists and foundations. The long tail of giving, right? But 9 out of 10 donors don't come back after first gift. So if you give $10 to stop soldier suicide today, at best, you're signing up for the pain train of newsletters and emails. At best, a newsletter that you're not going to open. If you do open, you're not going to click. And if you do click, there's no way you're going to give. 0.004% of emails result in a donation. So Jeremy and I came together in 2013, call it 14, and he had a very similar experience. Said, man, what would it be like if we could leverage technology to democratize that experience? What if we could leverage technology to say, it doesn't matter how much you give, you deserve a meaningful experience, whether it's with Habitat for Humanity or American Cancer Society or St. Jude. How do we leverage this technology to say, hey, $10? Hey, Nick was in the Army. Well, let's give him a message like this. How do we start to build that relationship? So we started off and, on that path, and we found product market fit in 2017, I think, and really starting to watch donations happening through Facebook, which is the first social network to turn it on. And with COVID, Anna, we doubled our budget goal in 2020. And so our budget goal for 2021 is, I'm not great at math, it's 400% higher than what it was in 2020. And the reason being is that COVID, and we're really fortunate, has accelerated the shift in user behavior, user being a donor, an individual. And that now that we're all at home, and now I'm on this Zoom screen with this fussy thing behind me, right? I want to give where I spend time. I want to give in the simplest way possible. And I don't spend time on nonprofit websites. I spend time in social networks. So what if we empower nonprofits to meet people where they are in that network with one-click donation? So COVID has really accelerated the demand, the need, and forced us to grow rapidly. I think we've tripled the size of our team in the last 6 months, and just so that we can serve our customers and our clients the best way possible. So it's been a hell of a ride, and we got a long way to go, but we're on our way.
So you threw out a couple of big names there, talking about American Cancer Society, Habitat for Humanity. What's it like operationally sort of working with big giants in the industry like that in terms of how are you helpful? And do you ever feel like you're the little guy?
Yes and no. I think that we've been able to establish ourselves and prove ourselves, and we have a chip on our shoulder, so we don't take anything for granted. So, I before this, I was on a call with one of our largest partners or one of our largest clients. I'm on the call. We care. So I think the complexity is more with the sales process has been quite a thing, right? To learn with complex organizations, B2B, very large enterprise. And when you're not, at that size, it's hard to get there. But we're really fortunate in that we've got great clients. We go all out for them, and those clients bring in other great clients. And so this whole business thing doesn't seem to be that hard if you just keep the customers you have and have them get other customers for you.
That's awesome. And you mentioned that sort of through COVID, we've heard a lot of stories of clients who unfortunately COVID's been tough and there hasn't been as much growth and the numbers haven't been what they wanted. It sounds like that's not the circumstance for you guys, which is amazing. But how do you deal with sort of that type of rapid growth in a completely different, very virtual environment? Has that been challenging or mostly okay?
It's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. And, Jeremy and I, my co-founder, our plan for the year, our key to the year was being able to scale our team of teams model. And, I was running, believe it or not, I was running HR for 4 months. I went through 383 people to hire a director of people and culture. And, it is awful. So, Jeremy and I, in our board meetings, the biggest problem for a while was us saying, hey, like our RPMs are at a level, 3 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day. But we've adapted and overcome, right? Isolate the problem, work the problem, work the problem, work the problem. And one thing that, I've been told is you want to hire slow and fire fast. Seems like everyone agrees on that. And so Jeremy and I would keep looking at each other, when our eyes are bloodshot and be like, oh, we got to hire slow. Remember, hire slow. And so we've done that. And I'm really thankful we did. It's been super painful and sometimes working seemingly 10 jobs at once. but I'm so proud of the team that we have. And, just I had a young lady flying from Chicago. The first time I met her, she actually went to UNC, and she's like, I love it here. I'm so fired up to be here. I'm like, oh, well, we're doing something. Let's go get it. So it's been really hard, but it's been worth it. Worth it to try to do it the right way, at least our attempt at it.
And has your hiring, anything changed about sort of hiring practices or where you look for talent now? Or is that similar or before COVID, or has it changed?
Something I've learned in life is when everyone's running one direction, run the opposite. And so when COVID happened, we gave everyone on the team a raise. When everyone says we're going remote, the whole world's going remote, or the whole world's competing now. And how I'm reading the market is that the Googles and the Apples and the West Coast venture-backed businesses that have never-ending cash are poaching people from all over the country. And so we're in Charleston. We've got a great place. We've got great people. We need to differentiate. We're going to build an in-person culture. We're going to do things right. We're going to build people that, we're going to build a culture where people want to work together. There's a chef here. There's dogs everywhere. There's a gym, right? That we share a patio with a brewery. So what was the question? I'm about to go down a weird path.
I liked your path. No, it was really just about hiring and whether you guys are doing anything differently, or talent you're seeing come from different places than before.
Yeah, our director of people and culture is a saint because she has to deal with me. And usually every other day, I'll just, go on a fit about how we need to find the best people. We've found, this is really interesting. I don't even want to say it because then people are going to go to them, but I promised them I'd talk about, there's a company called Praxis. And Praxis helps kids not kids. Yeah, they're kids out of high school that they're looking to get into the workforce. And they might not want to go to college and want to take an alternative path. And Anna, we have had incredible success. We have 18-year-olds from Texas, from Nebraska, from California, from all over the country, high speed, high integrity, incredible people that have joined the team on this Praxis apprenticeship, then turn to full-time employees. So that's been a wonderful, wonderful lever for us in that we've been able to get just incredible people, right? And then on paper, you're like, well, one of our top guys doesn't have a GED. But he's insane. He's the most technical, he's incredibly technical. So we've had to get very creative. And Praxis has been awesome. And we have a great recruiting team. We've partnered with Catch in Charleston. So again, it's so hard. I told Jeremy, my business partner, this morning that as soon as I can get out of the tactics, and there's a couple of things I need to do, maybe in 6 months, recruiting is one of the, 3 or 4 things I really want to focus on. Because I find it so difficult, yet so important. It's been really a strange experience for me.
So I think, Nick, in terms of content, we're probably getting pretty close to good, but I do want to give you a chance. I'll take a break after talking, but to sort of give a shout out. I know you mentioned there's a couple of things you want to say around connections or possible things of interest for you. So I want to give you a chance to do that as well.
Yeah. At GoodUnited, our mission is democratize the fundraising experience. And we have a big vision, right? Within that mission, the vision is how do we create one-on-one meaningful relationships with nonprofits and their supporters? That's huge. And we're doing it. Right? We're doing it. We're doing it with the world's most impactful and large organizations. We're solving this really complex problem. And the only way we're going to be able to take this next level and meet the need to rise to the occasion is to find the best people possible. And I think we found people from all over the country. And, the opportunity, just maybe one person that'd be interested in what we're doing and want to give us a shot and take a look, it'd mean the world to us.
I know folks will be interested in connecting with you after this. So wanted to see if you wanted to provide contact information or a way for them to learn more about the company and what you're working on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. GoodUnited is not for the weak or faint-hearted. But if you're interested, go to goodunited.io, navigate to the careers page, see if there's something that you'd be able to rise to the challenge to. So yeah, hope somebody joins us.
Thanks, Nick. So I want to give you an official thank you. Thanks for joining it. We work with a lot of great clients, right? Hundreds and hundreds a year, but they're doing really exciting stuff. But it's always so fun to talk to you and sort of hear the energy and hear how things are going. And so I hope to be able to come visit you in beautiful Charleston in the not too distant future. But really do appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great to chat with you and good to see you.
Good seeing you.